Okay, how is carbon produced?
The main mechanism within the carbon cycle is photosynthesis. So the plants are using energy from the sun. They're grabbing that energy and they're using it to pull carbon out of the atmosphere, and then they're retaining it within their mass. And so the carbon is already there, and it's just a matter of the plants grabbing onto it and holding onto it.
Okay, next question. Have you noticed any ways that carbon has affected your farm?
So carbon is a huge part of the farm because composting is a huge part of the farm. Every organic farm is going to be involved in producing compost to one extent or another, and compost is constantly a balance of nitrogen parts to carbon parts. You always want a balance of basically 3 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen, because the nitrogen is so rich, and what the carbon does, it lends stability to the process. So you're going to get a layer of nitrogen, and then you're going to add carbon to that, and the way we identify carbon is anything, basically the rule of brown, anything that looks brown. So it can be dead leaves, dead grass clippings, dead plants, dead small sticks. We don't want to put big sticks in a smaller system, but a bigger system you can handle big sticks. But so your carbon, you're always needing carbon to balance out the nitrogen in your compost pile, and then producing good compost.
Okay. Does carbon affect your animals?
Carbon affects our animals in that we can feed. They feed on carbon often. It depends on the animal. Pigs will basically eat anything. Goats especially will eat anything. So we can clear a land of all the brush in the land, of all the plants in any specific area, and feed it to those animals, and then they eat that carbon, and in somewhere in the process it comes out the other end as nitrogen.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Gate Farms. My name is Paige Hemmingson. Today we are going to talk about the carbon cycle and how it affects the environment. Carbon, referred to as CO2, looks like this.
Hi, I'm Reagan, and today I'm going to talk to you about global warming. Global warming affects everyone like One Direction and you. Global warming is caused by starting your car all the way to starting a fire. Animals are affected by global warming too. Some animals eat plants, and plants are affected too.
And when animals or feces decompose, they release carbon into the ground. Consumers, such as these guinea hogs, affect the carbon cycle by breathing. Carbon moves through the food chain at different speeds depending on if it's being stored or consumed.
Go.
If you were to lay in the sun all day, you would look like a tomato. Not for plants. Plants use photosynthesis to provide food for themselves. Also, plants run the carbon cycle. With photosynthesis, they can feed the whole food chain. Plants take in CO2 and release oxygen. So without plants, we would not be able to breathe.
As you can see, I'm in a greenhouse. A really cool thing about the carbon cycle is greenhouse gases. A greenhouse gas is a gas in an atmosphere, like this, that absorbs and emits radiation with range. Greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide, water vapor, and methane, etc., it affects the world by trapping energy, and keeps the temperature mild and suitable for living things.
Humans burn fossil fuels to power factories and to start cars, and to power plants. Most of the carbon quickly enters the atmosphere as carbon dioxide gas. Each year, 5.5 billion tons of carbon is released by burning fossil fuels. That's the weight of 100 million African elephants. Most of the fuels enter the atmosphere and dissolve into seawater.
The oceans and other bodies of water soak up some carbon from the atmosphere. But water is not carbon, but they are similar. They both differ in important ways and each tell us about how they work with plants.